Hi everybody. If you don't know me, as Chip said, my name is Marty Sullaway, NN1C. I sometimes hide out as ZF1A and ZF1MA down in the Cayman Islands, and just like Jim WA3FET, I also invented the transistor. I'm just kidding. So it's really great to be here with all of you. Kudos to Chip for putting this together. It's a lot of great people to share the stage with. I'm playing Innovator on TV. It's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is we'll keep it quick. I know there's a lot of people to talk today, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background in amateur radio, my start, and where I am today, solely and purely because of amateur radio. Let's see if this. Oh yeah, there's me. That's a little Marty. I think that's about a 11-year-old Marty. The one on the left is at Newington, Connecticut at W1AW at the league, and the other one you might recognize as Hara Arena. So how did we end up here, right? So I grew up in Boston, and one day I was on the internet and I found this thing, and it was called ham radio. Anybody hear of ham radio? Okay, a couple, great. You know, I didn't grow up with any engineers in my family. My mom has a background in sales and marketing. My dad's a social worker, and I said I want to get involved with this ham radio thing. And I'll never forget, my dad called up a friend of his and said Marty would like to get involved in ham radio, and he said that's great. You know why? Because that hobby, it's an old guy's thing. It's dying, and he'll be done with it in 6 weeks. You won't have to buy any equipment. There's no travel or contraptions or wires or towers or radios or none of that will happen. You're all good. And he was very wrong, as it turns out. I studied. I was a brisk 11-year-old and took my test. And I became KC1CWF just about 10 years ago now. Time really does fly. And I took the test, and the guy comes over and says, congratulations, you're an amateur radio operator. Go home and get your dad. Your dad's a ham, right? He'll get you sorted out. I said, well, my dad's not actually a ham. He said, okay, well, your uncle's a ham. I said, my uncle's not a ham. So I got home and I bought a little portable radio, handy-talkie, and I got on the local repeaters. And I used to, my middle school was nearby my house, so I used to run home after school, and I'd get on the 2-meter repeater, and there'd be nobody to talk to because everybody was at work, and I had to wait until the afternoon drive of people leaving the office 2.5 hours later to find some hams to talk to. And get that going, and that led to a lot of knowledge and learning. And that winter, and about a year and a half later, it was the ARRL's centennial, the 100th anniversary, and I went to Florida to visit my grandfather, and he said, I know a guy who does ham radio, and at this time I'd really only been doing 2-meter repeater work, and he takes me to this guy's house. He has a little vertical in the back. I had my technician's license. We get on 10 meters, and we tune around. The first thing I hear is W1 Alpha Whiskey, 2014 Centennial. This is W1AW, and I still have that QSL card from my first HF contact with W1AW during the Newington Centennial. A heck of a first contact, and the rest, as they say, is history. Today, amateur radio looks something more like this picture on the right, where I operate my station down in the Cayman Islands with some partners as ZF1A. So what happened in the middle there, right? I've been very blessed that amateur radio has been this amazing conduit for learning. It's almost unfathomable to think about as a young kid. I had no concept of. I knew that I could plug a wire into a light bulb and hook it up and shock myself a couple times, and maybe the light bulb would turn on, and I used to hang little spotlights in my basement and fans and switches and try and wire things up. But amateur radio is truly foundational for innovation and learning about electronics. I got my general and my advanced class license, extra class license. I built all sorts of small gizmos, and that's really where the innovations started. So by day, I now work in electrical engineering, and I'm finishing up an electrical engineering degree at Northeastern University, and I'm a passionate contester and tinkerer. So how did I really get launched into electrical engineering today? Well, it came down to stuff like this, little amateur radio projects, kits. When I got into contesting, I at the time I was a middle schooler, didn't have much money, borrowed some radios, and the big thing to enhance your scores was you need to do SO2R, single operator 2 radios, and that required this big expensive switch box. And I said, well, I had like $40 to my name. Chip over here loaned me an amplifier. I found some coax at a Hamfest, and I started figuring out, I can build this. These things are very simple. It's some opto-isolators, some relays, transformers, an Arduino, some code, and the next thing you know, I had figured out how to design a circuit board, and the rest is history. We've sold hundreds in the impeding years. The one below is a picture of a device I invented for disabling the transmit capability of transceivers by a specific manufacturer. That capability didn't exist. It had long been an issue, and now these boxes for inhibiting ICOM transceivers are in use in multi-operator environments all across the U.S. My SO2R box was one of the very first devices to incorporate CW generation over a single USB cable, that sort of thing. Yep, thank you, Chip. And all of these learnings, how to design a circuit board, how to make a product. Wait, made a product, now it needs to go in a box. Okay, now we're not only doing electrical engineering, it's the electromechanical interface. How do we package things up and make them cheaply? And all of these things about not just designing something and coming up with a schematic and breadboarding it, but how do you solve the whole problem? Amateur radio is the best way of doing that in the world. Solutions don't live in a vacuum; they live in the real world. And when you're developing a technology, it's important that you don't just fix a little part; you do the whole thing, right? So amateur radio taught me at a very young age that you got to do the whole thing. And that led me into my college career, and then before what I do today, I worked at a startup, a defense startup, innovating with textiles and electronics, and we were always talking about how do we solve the whole problem. And one day they said, well, we need to do antennas. I said, I know antennas. I'm an antenna guy. And that sort of thing has always carried me along. So, as I said, the product development is experience that I've gained in amateur radio has been tremendous, and my short time, and the relationships that I've built. I can look at this room. I feel like I know half of the people here. It's amazing. Every job I've had, every experience I've had in my career, both previously and now has been because of amateur radio. And it's the ultimate trial and error and hands-on engineering source. So the picture on the left is what I do these days. I work for a small company based in Washington called Amazon. We make lots of things, but I support the Amazon robotics operation. We make all the robotic solutions that make the warehouses that get products to go. There's a picture of me with one of our robots off the end of the line. And, the first day I got there said, "You're a ham, right? We have a problem for you." And they handed me a spectrum analyzer new out of the box and some circuit boards that didn't work, and they said, "Go figure it out." And it's been a total blast ever since. I think what we do is on the cutting edge of innovation, getting you stuff every day. I should say my employer loves to tell me I can't speak on behalf of them. I don't represent them, but I've certainly had a lot of fun. And on the right, there's my friend Bill, W9KKN, who's in the audience, with Dan and 6MJ, one of the best contesters in the world that are stationed down in the Cayman Islands. And setting that up and operating there has been the honor of a lifetime. We've broken several North American records, won the world in many a contest, and had an absolutely tremendous time in the process, making technical innovations, new circuit boards, and techniques and strategies to really make what we do click. And we've had a tremendous amount of fun doing that. During the pandemic, a couple years ago, I believe we were the first station in the Caribbean, a contest station to operate remotely at a very high level, and we did a lot of work to make single operator 2 radio contesting and interleaving, what we called 2BSIQ, 2-band synchronized interleaving of QSOs, happen remotely, and we made history, contest history in 2020. The ZF1A station was the first station in the world for a single operator to ever make more than 400 contacts an hour remotely, and both on single sideband and Morse code, as well as we set several records doing that. So that was a tremendous amount of fun. And now there's a lot of stations around doing the sort of things that we kind of pioneered. So that was a total blast. I know I'm almost out of time. I have do I have a minute, or am I'm wrapping it up. So I'll wrap up by saying thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's great to be with so many of you, and it all happens because of amateur radio. I wouldn't be in electrical engineering. I wouldn't be working at a large company. I wouldn't be working on RF. I wouldn't know all of these great people that make this happen. And I wish you a fantastic Hamvention. Please make sure you get in, you see the vendors, make it out to the flea market, because you got to find those cool little projects, because that's how we keep this going. Thank you so much, everybody, and I appreciate it.